We mentioned the Titans' offense.
Yeah.
Now, look, Derrick Henry's been out, and they've still managed to win games, although they've struggled the past few weeks. As Chris said, a lot of it is self-inflicted. Henry could come back at some point. That would make a difference. But we got to talk for a minute about a trade that consumed so much oxygen back in June.
Yeah, do it.
And I appreciate that because, I mean, what else were we going to talk about in early June? But that was when the Falcons finally pulled the trigger on the trade that sent Julio Jones to the Titans. He's played in 8 games this year. He's got 38 targets, 25 catches, 369 yards, 0 touchdowns. I think we can say at this point that was not a good trade.
No.
For the Tennessee Titans.
Absolutely
And I remember when he got there was this kind of buzz that he wanted a new contract, but then it became he'll go have a good year and then he's going to want a new contract. Well, I think the question now is whether or not the Titans go to him and say, hey, Julio, we can't pay you $11.5 million next year. Not for this. We got to pay A.J. Brown. We can't pay you for 25 catches in 8 games.
Right.
And, he could go off, I guess, in the final 3, but there's no reason based upon what we've seen so far this year. Are you getting me 25 catches for 369 yards so far this season? That's not Julio Jones.
No.
And you have to wonder whether or not Julio Jones, the level of self-awareness as the train is pulling into the station at the end of a career, are you able to say, all right, this is it. It's done. I'm done. This isn't my standard that I'm used to. I'm not just going to hang around. And he may have a hard time finding anyone to pay him anything close. It's kind of like the way Marvin Harrison left. The Colts no longer wanted to pay Marvin Harrison what he was due to make. It was about $9 million. It was a lot of money when you consider when Harrison retired.
Yeah.
They cut him. He refused to take a pay cut. He refused to lower his standard. He refused to play for whatever he could get. He's done, even though he still had gas in the tank. That could be where we're going with Julio Jones.
Could be.
There could be someone no one who's going to pay him what he wants, and someone's willing to pay him something, and he says, "No, I'm not playing for that. I'm out of here."
Yeah, he certainly. I mean, this is the time he's got to turn it on or do something. He can justify what he's made in the trade if he kind of starts to explode here the last 3 weeks and gets them on a playoff run. Then people will swipe the rest of the average season under the rug and be like, "Oh, okay, well, he was healthy when he needed to be." He can change the narrative to a degree. But yes, right now it's not impressive. And again, there's one thing that I think that's popped to me a little bit this year is just aging star who has an injury history. Be careful of signing him. Richard Sherman, J.J. Watt, Julio Jones. There's others that I've had on my mind, and I can't think of it on the spot right now. But yeah, you got to have buyer beware there a little bit. And Julio Jones, as we know, for the last part of his career here has always been not able to practice. We'll see how he feels on Sunday, a game time decision, or we'll get a gauge for him on Saturday at the walkthrough and see if he can play. And the injury bug has bothered him again, but they need him. Of course, there's no Derrick Henry, but they still can run the ball effectively enough to get good passing looks. And if they can have some sort of guy out there that can take advantage of some of those looks, man, the Titans can inject themselves right back into the best team in the AFC conference conversation. But that we haven't seen that, over the last 3 or 4 weeks. So I don't know if it's going to come back, and we'll see where Julio is tonight, certainly. But they need Julio to be somewhat of a presence over there, and they desperately need A.J. Brown, who's when healthy, one of the 10 best receivers in football and a big-time playmaker for their football team. So they've missed that element, but your point about Julio is real, Mike, and it's going to be interesting to see how this finishes out.
The thought back in June when this trade was done was that the recent history with Julio Jones being injured, the hamstring, the lingering problems, that was in large part due to the fact that he just wasn't happy in Atlanta. Right. He wasn't happy with his contract. And if he gets to a place where he's happy, he'll be fine. And so the Titans roll that dice. They give up a second-round pick in 2022 for Julio Jones. I would suspect that right now they would say we probably shouldn't have done that. And I remember having a very distinct vibe at the time. And it wasn't palpable, but sometimes silence can be the greatest indicator of what someone's really thinking.
Yeah.
I never got the impression Mike Vrabel was on board with this trade.
I'm with you.
Because who was it that was talking and talking and talking when the trade was done? It was John Robinson, the general manager of the team.
Right.
Never Mike Vrabel. No media tour for Mike Vrabel. No press conference for Mike Vrabel. I think there may have been a little internal tension and chalk one up to Vrabel. This is a little I told you so from Vrabel. And you know what? At the core, it very well could be they misread it by not giving him a contract on the way through the door. I mean, it could be that the same things that were bothering him in Atlanta are bothering him now, which would tell me it's fixable, which would tell me there maybe is gas in the tank if he's willing to burn that gas. He may not be willing to burn that gas until he gets somewhere else, but now they're going to be very leery, whoever would be considering Julio Jones, because you're going to assume multiple years of he can't go, aging guy who's banged up and can't go, that's a trend that isn't going to reverse itself no matter what he says.
Yeah, no, you're right, exactly right. You know, it's again a guy that's a freak of nature. He's big. He's been jamming his legs into the ground, with great force for the last 12 years of his life, more than that. It gets to that point for a receiver and a receiver of his, nature as far as explosiveness and size. Because again, Julio Jones is one of those guys that, it's when you see him in person, you go, oh wow, oh whoa, now I understand why you're Julio Jones. Damn, you're chiseled and built out of granite and like a Greek god. That's how he's built. But yes, even for guys like that, it just catches up, and we're seeing, he's struggling to make it to the finish line here this year, and hopefully he can help out. But I'm with you, Mike. I always get the sense that was a John Robinson move, not a Vrabel move. But regardless, they're stuck with him, and we'll see where it goes. But they need him to contribute to a degree. I always look at it's like Sammy Watkins with the Chiefs over the last few years. Yeah, he wasn't there, but he always kind of got healthy at the end of the year and the playoffs to make a little bit of a difference and like justify what he was being paid. Maybe Julio can do that here down the stretch.
And this is the key too, because we will forget about 8 games, 25 catches, 359 yards, no touchdowns if he goes bonkos.
Yes, exactly.
The regular season.
That's what I mean.
And in January, if he goes off,
all
that's
will be a
what's
race.
Going to get other teams.
Yes.
If the Titans don't want him, or if the Titans don't want to pay him, or whatever the case may be, other teams are going to be like, oh, okay, we'll tolerate the unavailability in the regular season if we know we're going to get this in crunch time. So we'll see how that plays out.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.